Evening all, and may the 4th be with everybody. Yes, I was in fact getting a drink, brushing my hair and having a wee. Well spotted. Yeah, Claire's right, I am getting old. It's amazing how often you start needing a wee when you get old. Hey, PT88. Hey. Yeah, so the demo update's nearly done. I've been going through the process of tying in all the audio files to the dialogue. So all the dialogue is done, which you can't see because I haven't pressed my button. Yeah, so all the dialogue is done, and the new scanning and nav tutorial. After I've just tweaked the last few bits here, it's going to be around about 93 to 94 steps, which is significantly longer than it was before. And there's a lot of juicy lore and tech information in there as well, which hopefully people will appreciate. I saw Claire's eyes just glaze over when she was listening to me read it out, so I must be doing something right. I've just realised you can't see me. Where's me gone? There I am. I have changed the voice bank that I'm using for Ava, because the one that I was using had a tendency to shout at the start of every sentence. And when you're using the voice changer to record the dialogue, it's just frustrating. I was trying to like speak quietly at the beginning of every sentence, but no matter how quiet I spoke, she just shouts it. So I've switched to a different one. I'll give you an example. Hopefully this won't be too loud.
Let's begin by taking a look at the galactic position mode, which ties into the X-ray pulsar-based navigation and timing array, or XNav for short.
And some more techie words.
The long-range mode employs the ship's space-time curvature mass inferencer, or SCMI array for short.
So I much prefer her voice. I think she's got that right balance of kind of slightly AI-ness to her, because she is a ship's AI, so the fact that it sounds a bit AI is good, but she's still sort of eloquent and reasonably well-spoken. And she does still pick up on my Somerset twang in places. Is it this one? There's one in particular that made me cringe.
We can also reference that same catalogue of known stellar objects to obtain a high-level overview of each galactic sector. You'll notice that the Sensors UI has 4 distinct modes, with each mode corresponding to one of the ship's physical sensor arrays.
Yeah, I can't find which one it was. She does a good job at kind of filtering out the Somerset, but you can definitely still hear it there sometimes. We do need a Claire one, definitely. I think when we do the kind of smooth, sexy computer, we'll use Claire for that one. So I would have had this done today, funnily enough, except 11 Labs wasn't working very well. It had a massive amount of lag on it, so I had to move on to other things, which specifically was sorting out the doors and windows in the battery backup room and what will eventually become the workshop. So we have framework done for the door, for the windows. I've added the extra bracing either side of this door, ready for its panels. I've removed all of the panels that were in here, so they all need replacing. And I've started doing the windows for this one. So we're getting there. That's just a few bits left to do. And I think tonight I'll do the lighting in the maintenance tunnels as well, get that done. That's going to be a little bit annoying because it means we have to add some betwixt section anchor points on here. But that aside, it should be relatively straightforward to do. Yeah, so I suppose we may as well just get on with it. Yeah, we need a window thing for FDeck as well, so we'll do that one as well. If you remember from the last stream, I spoke about the awkwardness of this side becoming too big when we've only got 5 segments on this side. So I've kind of locked in on that now, where we've got a different number of segments on the outer edge, just on ring 1. For the other corridor rings, it doesn't really make much of a difference because they're a lot straighter. But for ring 1 in particular, we're going to have either 6, which is this one. So if we have 2 rooms, we'll have 6 segments on that side. If we have a single room with a central door, we'll up that to 7. But we'll keep 5 floor and ceiling segments just to keep that as equally sized as we can. And then we'll just kind of suck up the fact that there's a bit of a mismatch along this edge. But it's yeah, it's a compromise that we just have to live with. Right, so we need. Right, when we cut through the windows on this one, I'll copy paste that up to this, so that can just be deleted and redone. Just a copy paste job there. Nothing actually needs to be physically remade. Those are the same size, so they can just be copy pasted up. So that one's fine, all those are done already. Let's load up those wall panels. Yeah, so we'll do 1 window frame, 2 window frames, 1 door frame, 1 spacer, and another door frame. And that should be both F and G deck corridors done and dusted. And then it's just this bit in here to do. And practically, I think that's it. I keep saying that's it, and then we find some other little bits, but I think that is really it. Right, let's start with this window frame and get that one done first. Hey Don. Finishing touches, basically. Just filling in the last few remaining blanks, ready for this demo update. Final spit and polish. Apologies for blinding everyone. The stairs to the ring is on the side here, so that's on this edge. So the far port or the far starboard of F deck, you've got this little unfinished section here. At the moment, it is barrier taped off. Should be able to see it here. So yeah, so in the maintenance tunnels, port or starboard side, you've got this unfinished section, and that's what takes you up into the outer area where the ring is. The stairs and things aren't in yet, so you won't be able to actually climb up, but that's where the entrance will be to it. The stairs down into the neck of the keel fin, they're not in yet, so obviously we've got two double deck height rooms underneath the reactor, and we'll need to squeeze those stairs in probably around here somewhere. That's going to come later. We won't do that for the demo, but yeah, we need to squeeze that in. For now, we need to do this bit. That depends on Assie. So we haven't done the recruitment yet. We're waiting to do the proper recruitment drive once the demo update goes out, which I think we've said quite a few times now. But we are also in conversation with a few different people about a few different things. One of which is a really good character systems developer who makes tutorials, and I'm hoping to get him on board to do the character system using a lot of the new bells and whistles that we've got with Unreal Engine 5.5. So fingers crossed he'll be interested. I thought ahead on this, and I did. So here's one I'd prepared earlier for the window, and I didn't follow through with finishing the panel because I wasn't sure if we were going to keep 5 segments on this section here. But now that I've decided we can go ahead and cut out this this window frame. Before we do that, let's grab a copy of that a minute. Try and capture that edge as much as I can without losing this curve here. I think that's got most of it. I could reduce the soften filter on the curve, but nope, it is not to be. But that's fine because we'll just grab this. Get rid of that, paste that in. Soften that one. Right, and then we'll make this into a solid face. Yeah, there's a lot you can do with texturing and materials. In fact, I think shader artistry is an amazing thing, what you can do with it. You can take the simplest of meshes and turn it into something incredible. Just making sure that actually went along that vector, which it did. Right, so that should line up exactly with the edge of our frame there. Okay, and then we need to expand it by 0.5 so it lines up with that edge there. Okay. So I think these were 4 centimeters thick, if I recall. Yep. So that one needs to be 4 centimeters. And then we need an extra 0.5 for the rubber bit that goes around the outside. And then we're also going to need a couple of backstops, which we will make with this. So if that's the edge of the window frame, then we need 0.5 a bit at the back. Yeah, that should be it actually. So we don't need that bit. Or that bit. Actually, I might do the back section before I go ahead and actually cut it through into the panel. Yeah, why not? Should do it. I got that there, that there. That's the rubber bit around the back. And then this one. Right, so we don't need that face. That one needs reversing. Don't need that bit or that bit. Don't need that bit. Go. Yeah, that was a fairly quick way of doing it, to be honest. Yeah, SketchUp's definitely still a thing. The SketchUp question comes up quite often, and usually along the lines of, why the hell are you using SketchUp? And yeah, it's a fair question. It's because it's what I know, and I can get things done quick with it, and as much as I'm sure Blender would be better, certainly for some things, not for some other things, like when we're doing the architectural stuff, SketchUp does a decent job with that, because ultimately it is architectural CAD software, so that's kind of its job. But yeah, Blender has a learning curve, and I don't have time. Hey Falk, good to see you. Yeah, I do have Blender installed, and I used to use Blender as part of the loop for doing things like face weighting and UV mapping and that sort of thing. But Unreal does that itself now, so I can take the raw geometry from SketchUp, put it straight into Unreal, and not really need to worry about some of the fiddlier aspects of modeling. This is a 1 centimeter one, yeah. Okay. Let's make sure I get consistent edges across the board. Yeah, we were just chatting about why use SketchUp, because SketchUp is a very clunky piece of software compared to the likes of Blender, which is all slick and lovely. But it's, being architectural design software, SketchUp does a lot of the architecty stuff that we need, especially when it comes to building things with set scales and very, very accurate measurements. Blender is, of course, much more capable with complex meshes. I find that SketchUp, I think its graphics engine's not great, so it chugs quite heavily if you're using a very, very complex mesh. I find Blender can kind of handle that way, way better. And Blender's, of course, much better for things like subdivision modeling. You can do subdivision modeling. In fact, I do subdivision modeling in SketchUp with the right plugins. But you have lots of tools at your disposal in Blender, like being able to move an edge across a face, and SketchUp can only really do that if it's like a coplanar face. As soon as you get some curves in it, it starts falling to pieces. Blender is way, way better at that sort of thing. And one day, when I have the time, I will make an effort to transition to Blender for that sort of thing. So whenever we need to do smoother subdivision, organic-y stuff, then Blender is definitely the tool of choice. Thank you. See, I bet Blender wouldn't do that. It's funny, every time I make one of these bolt recesses, it does that same little bit of corrupted face every single time. And there it is again. There's definitely a quirk in the algorithm there somewhere. Lightwave 3D was actually the first piece of 3D modeling software I ever used, and that was, well, way back in the 90s. I didn't really do anything impressive with it, I was just hobbying, but yeah, I have fond memories of Lightwave. Template, that's what I was looking for. Let's get this one exported. So, ring one, wall panels, add it to the plethora that we have. So that was curve, 5 segments, inner, window frame. I'm going to round off that edge there so it looks a little bit less computer generated-y. And the same on this one as well. It's a bit nicer like that. Seg inner window frame. That was the one. You're not kidding, Erix, definitely. That's better. Things always look nicer with a chamfered edge. Let's make sure I didn't screw anything up anywhere. That all looks fine. Okay. No, we didn't want that, did we? Just smooth off those normals. That's better. So I just realised I've put them on GDEC, which is no good. And of course we also want them to be visible from there, which they are, so that's fine. And I'll fix the labels so that Claire doesn't shout at me. So it has FP102, FP103, that should be FP104, FP105, and FP106. Okay. Good. Those same ones down here. In fact, if we copy them down, then we get to keep our panel numbers. GDEC, 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 and GDEC. Claire's already done the rest. didn't leave a gap in the handrail, so I'll fix that at some point. Actually, I can fix that now easily enough by copying this one over. So we'll just nab this handrail a minute. When autosave lets us. Combination of F and G. We're doing both decks at once. I'm just fixing a boo-boo that I made. Where'd it go? Yeah, I forgot to drop the end of the panel of the handle off there. So I'll just do that. And then we don't have this join there. And then the normals are horrid, so we'll fix that as well. Fixed. Okay. And another panel bites the dust. Right, so that window needs cutting through, that needs a panel. There's some equal panels there, door frame there. Right, so that's the whole inner ring done. Yeah, they need just bare panels. I'm not quite sure why I missed those. Not to worry. What is this? This is GA. Fix that before I copy it. That one, and sort the label out, sort the label out, and sort the label out. So that one's 102. 103, 104, 105, and that one should already be 106. Okay. Right, so that should be the entire inside ring done on G deck and also F deck. Yep, not seeing any gaps. Right, apologies to Claire, I'm deleting your really awesome whip panel placement. Because we have panels now, so don't need a whip one. Right, so that and that are the wrong size. That are the wrong size. They're in the wrong place. may look dramatic, however, we have a betterer version down here that we can just copy and paste upwards. Should do it. Just whatever wasn't getting the camera caught in the geometry. So we copy that up 350. Make sure it's all aligned. Yep. And cut. And paste. Right, that's better. Gives us much more reasonably sized pieces then. And we also need the same here, but I think we're using a copy of this one anyway, so that automatically fixes those. I don't think there's anything greatly unique about this particular piece of framework, so it can be copied over. That's part of the inside, yeah, so that's fine then. So we can get this one out onto FDeck. Frame deck, FDeck. I'm going to move the window up and down to find the lines in the monitor where I can read it, because if anyone missed the last stream, my monitor basically from halfway down to the bottom is just covered in black lines because it's dead, so I have to kind of move things down a pixel so I could read them. You're about as punctual as me, Ollie Nanny. I missed the start of the stream as well. It's a trend. Thank you, Firstus. Yeah, it's been an iterative process over the months and years, but you're right. Things are so much quicker to do now compared to how they were before, and that's all thanks to, you know, a set segmented approach where we're using the same size, the same standards, and we can just, you know, share assets around rather than having to constantly make fresh ones every time. Right, so we got the doors there. Windows can go in there. That's all good there. That should all be a copy of that, which means we have the door upstairs there, so that needs windows. Right, let's do the windows. Oh, hugely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for all the new people just tuning in, we're basically just going around looking for things that need doing for this demo update. There are lots of just little silly things that just need finishing off. Ready for a window cut, and it's actually using the same asset down there, so if we get rid of the GDeck bits, we'll do it on FDeck. No, other way around, get rid of the FDeck bits, we'll do it on GDeck. so first things first, we need to measure 30 centimeters from there, pull out that face, fix that bit back, and then we'll start constructing our cutting tool. So grab that face, get rid of the rest of it. Right, and then we just need to measure the height with the other window just to keep it consistent. As well. Okay, so that's our cutting tool. And the other thing we need to do is take a copy of this face. So we need 2.5 and then 2.5, and the same on this side. 2.5 and 2.5. That allows us to make the track for the glass once we've extruded this through. Break that up a minute. Pop that through there. Cut some holes in it. And then if memory serves, we did a offset of 15 with 8 sides. That should be our hole. And then we need some thickness to that hole. Actually no. Like that. So we need the 2 centimeter groove and then a 0.5 centimeter to the outside edge. Explode that. Intersect. Get rid of the sticky out bits. I need to keep some of the faces internally. Oh, hang on a minute, what's going on there? Something's gone awry. Oh, I see. So that face didn't intersect fully enough. Just do that again, make sure I actually did it. No, still not doing it. Right. Inside one's alright. Oh, I see what's happening. Right, let's grab a copy of this and do this in isolation. No, Paul, not yet. Claire keeps telling me about those panels. It's where are the stairs gone? Oh, they're on it, up on F deck. But yeah, there's a couple of panels behind the stairs which are kind of tucked right behind the stairs where I can't see them, and because I can't see them, I keep forgetting they're there. So yeah, they still need doing, but they are quite low on the priority list. Yes, they do need doing before we do the update, ideally. save these faces, so that's kinda actually. I'm just going to look for any like vertices which are oddly close together, or anything crazy like that, because something somewhere on this geometry is not happy. See, it reckons it's fixing 80 split edges every single time, which I don't believe to be true. Let's get rid of these end faces, just to give it less geometry to work with. So it's still, basically it's not intersecting that face there. So it is on that side, that's quite happy, but this one isn't intersecting, and it's probably something to do with this edge here, because it's creating that hard edge when we do the intersect. I bet it's because we've got this overlap there. Yeah, so basically it's the wall geometry there is ever so slightly like flukily colliding with that edge there, so that's confusing it. So if we make sure that's separate, and I'll do this on both sides. If we select all of those edges, then what we can do is we can move them. Well, the first thing we'll do actually is we'll explode those curves. Right, now we'll select those edges in a slightly more awkward way. If we then just move them over literally by like half a centimetre, then that shouldn't happen anymore. I'll do the same on this side, so we'll grab those edges rather, and those edges, and we'll move them over by just 0.5. I want them all done one at a time. I bet it does. Right. Hang on. Right, maybe we can just get away with this one. So if we keep the direction of that face, and then we keep the direction of this face as well. Just try that sec. Okay. side looks all right. This is the pitfalls of intersecting geometry. You end up with, well, bad geometry basically. Looks like that one's gone better. Right, let's try this again. That's better. Okay. Yes, Ranzo, thank you. Yeah, AJ sent me one actually, and I've still got it here next to me, and I haven't had a chance to experiment properly with it yet. I have a very long to-do list and a very tight time schedule, so finding the time to experiment with stuff is difficult. But yes, I do want to check it out and have a go on it. Right, so that, and that. Actually, if I do these sides first, and then we take a copy of them and copy of those again, paste them back in there. Right, so you and you, oh, actually no, let's reverse them again. Then you and you, fix that, soften that. Right, and then both of them can be made into glass, like so. Right, and then they are the window surround. Okay. Now we can soften that bit. Right, now what don't we want? We don't want that, or that. Do want that, which means we don't want that, 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 or that, or that, or that. That's the wrong way around. Don't want that or that. And that one's the wrong way round, which means you don't need that or that. So having cut through all that geometry with our cutting tool, we're now just kind of shaving away the bits we don't need and adding detail to the bits we do. So that gives us flat geometry underneath. We can get rid of these leftover bits that we don't need. Same on this side. Oops, got rid of too much. Right, so nice and smooth around the outside, and then detail on the inside. And then we just need to grab that edge and that edge. Give them a bevel. And then add a little chamfer to those bevels so that they pick up the light nicely. Oh, no, something's gone wrong. Was that just there? Yeah. Okay, better. Right, get rid of that. Then we need to pull out the glass because we can't have glass with nanite. We basically make the glass its own actor that we can pop into place into the window frames. Ah, nice drop-in genie. Hey Leosh, long time no see. So with those done, that should be all that side done, all that side done, so they can be re-exported on GDEC, which is GDEC forward framework. That one, making sure, yeah, that one. Yeah, far from it. If you think it doesn't keep me up at night, you're quite wrong. Right, and I want the FDEC version of this as well. So FDEC framework walls, that one. I might, you never know. So that should be all the frameworky bits done there and up here. So 2 panels will complete practically all of that, certainly on F deck and most of G deck. And then we just need those fiddly bits there. I can see if I can put a step on this one. We'll see if I manage to squeeze that in or not. Right, and that should be 5 panels all the way around, I believe. Yep, all good there. Right, let's save all that a minute. Hey, BC5. The engineering panels are different in style to everything above F deck, but F and G deck use the same style, which is the more angular foot and ceiling cap, and the inside bit as well. So I need to do these bits, and they'll have essentially the same design as this, only they'll stick out more at the top because the betwixt deck bit sticks out quite far. Yeah, I wanted engineering to have kind of a more sort of rugged, angular style to it compared to the kind of softer rounded edges with wooden trim with the rest of the ship. Something a bit more like business-like and purposeful. I don't think I had any panels sort of standing by for that, so now because these ones don't have the luxury of having a pre-prepared floor template that I can work from, I will instead have to do this one a bit manual like, but not to worry because it is relatively straightforward. We just need to make sure we get a consistent height. So there, there. And you need to draw that on here as well. Just so we've got a pivot point to work from to draw our curve. And we'll just mark that like so. Then we'll do a 6-sided curve that goes from here across to here. And that becomes our path. And we'll do our perpendicular edge there, so explode that curve, get rid of that bit. Again, we always give it a perpendicular edge at each end so that it joins up nice and smooth with the opposing panels. And I always make that slightly longer than we need, so that when we do things like the handrail, we can manipulate the end of the handrail back and forth along a right angle rather than on a arbitrary curve, so we're not having to like create unnecessarily complicated geometry to work with. Right, so we'll weld that into a single edge. Right, that's our extrusion path done. Then we just need one of our wall panel templates, which I've hidden over here somewhere. Yep, this one. Make sure I grab a copy and not move it, because otherwise I will lose it, as I tend to do. Right, and then just make sure this one's lined up exactly with that. Be exactly lined up with the one next to it. Okay. So now we can take our path and start following it. And remember to bring the edges in, otherwise I'll forget later. And the reason I left a 6 centimeter gap is so that we can move this face back and forth without it overlapping itself, which it would do if that weren't perfectly perpendicular. And I'm not going to cut any of this or smooth it off yet, because we can use this same panel for the door frame, and that just saves us having to do all this a second time. I will, however, move those edges in because that's needed on the door as well. Right, so if we make that a component like so, and then we will copy that from there to there. And then again from there to there. It should still be perfectly lined up at each end. Right, so then we'll make that one unique and use it as a door frame, and then that one will be unique and used. Yeah, if we use that one as the window, then that can be the plane panel. I don't think we have a use for a plane panel, but we'll leave a plane panel just in case we need one at some point in the future. And then we can cut through our various framework bits. Yeah, Oninani, you've hit the nail on the head. So we probably won't ever need a plain version of it, but we'll keep one around just in case we do need a plain version. It doesn't hurt. Obviously this is just, within SketchUp, this is our Lego brick storage area, so it doesn't hurt to have a spare one. Right, so now we need I was wondering actually whether it's easier to take this outer edge bring it inward rather than trying to make an edge. It's very true, yes. Occurs to me that we don't have properly aligned axes on this one, so let's just sort that out a minute. Come on, camera, you can do it. So we pull this forward, and then we pull that bit that way. Right, and then we just need to measure the distance between essentially that and the edge of the curve on there, which is exactly 1 centimeter, which makes this really easy. So we just bring that in by exactly 1. Help if it didn't mess the geometry up. Making it as clean as I can. Right, that's better. Right, so there's our 1 centimeter. Let's get rid of these end bits a minute. So from there we needed 4 centimeters for the white paneling. We need a further 0.5 centimeter for the rubber backing, which gives us that. Okay, and then we need a copy of that edge there. It's going to be our back wall. Okay, and then we can work on it in isolation so it's not getting lost in the framework. That's probably just me mumbling, sorry. Hang on, if I scoot forward a bit. Sadly, the mic doesn't get any closer because it's kind of stuck behind my monitor mount. So I shall make an effort not to mumble. The music volume is actually like literally 2 pixels. Like literally, I move the mouse 2 pixels on the volume. It can't get any lower than that. I'm glad you can hear me. Most of this stream is basically just me mumbling to myself anyway. Right, let's give that an edge. Yeah, it's going up into the yellow, so it should be alright. I do use OBS or OBS, however you want to say it. So as before, we don't want that or that, but we do want to intersect through the middle there, which it didn't do. There we go, that's better. Nope, or not. That should be all the different bits that we need. Don't need the end bits. An idiot, I forgot to make it a component, but never mind, we can just do that. Same result. Right, so that aligns with that nicely. It reaches the edge of that curve exactly. So per layer, it's a bit easier if we do that one first. So for this one, we don't need that bit, we just need those bits. That needs to face that way. And then we don't need that bit or that bit. And that needs to face that way. Should be exactly as we need it to be. And then for this one, this time we don't need that bit. We only need those bits, and they are that color. Should do what we need. Explode that, intersect that, delete that. I do believe job's a good one. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yes, I have finished the tutorial highlights. Yeah, Claire needs like an alarm she can ring. I've got everything else like muted and set to do not disturb, so I can't hear her. Oh, that's made some nastiness there, hasn't it? Bad geometry, bad. That's more like it. Oh no, hang on, got another bit there. Okay. Yes, Claire reminded me today that we need to do a competition as it's the beginning of the month. And of course, I'm so engrossed in what I'm doing, I'm not paying attention to the calendar. So yes, on Wednesday's stream, we will be doing our prize draw. So get your choice of numbers in on the Discord. As always, we'll be giving away some dev build keys, and thank you to Firstus once again. We'll be giving away 3 captain tier ranks. We have many captains now that owe that to Firstus. Oh yes, as Claire is telepathically passing to me, I haven't done the permissions yet on the Discord channel, so as soon as the permissions have been set, then you'll be able to choose your numbers. Hey Jim. Right, that should be all the bits done there. Let's sort out these edges. find the bit of the framework I need, which is that bit. Line that up there. Then do the same on the other side. Okay, they should all be facing the right way now. Then we can explode those groups and intersect the cutting tools. If I click that bit first, it saves me a whole click. Given how many panels I end up making, that's actually quite valuable. God damn it, SketchUp, every time. So something that actually didn't occur to me until this very moment is, of course, because we no longer have alignment with the corridor segments for this particular edge, we also don't have any snapping guides for these panels. So I might, for the sake of simplicity, actually position those manually. Because it's literally just this ring 1 corridor that has that problem. And I could make an opposing snap guide for those ones. Because all I would need to do is basically take just the corridor edge. Because if I take each of these segments as our center point for the snap guide, then they can snap to this instead. Oh, hey AJ, thank you. Very much appreciated. Yeah, click count would be painful. Right, I will definitely do that, I think, actually. So, hang on, let's do it from here so that we're using nice perpendicular edges. So if we take that edge and that edge, and we pop them on there, and then we join that bit to that bit, and the same on this side. I don't think there's an exact alignment there, so that's probably going to cause us some grief. There we go. Right, group all that up. Actually, before I put them in place, let me just copy them to the right place. And it's probably going to crash SketchUp, so we'll save it first. I haven't watched Spaceballs in such a long time. I need to give it another watch. Right now I'm also kind of undecided between rewatching Babylon 5 or Stargate, and I cannot decide which one. Please don't crash, please don't crash, please don't crash. It crashed. It's alright, that's why I saved it before doing it. So, again, because of a lack of time at the moment, there is another version of SketchUp. There's a 2025 version, and because of the way they handle their licensing, I have to basically relinquish my seat for 2024 and then reapply that seat for 2025. So I have to go through this kind of rigmarole of uninstalling one to install the other, and that is a hassle that I don't have time for right now. And hopefully SketchUp 2025 will fix that really, really annoying copy-paste bug that makes it crash. Can't believe they haven't fixed it yet on 2024. It's really quite annoying. Cheat on this little bit. So grab that, whiz that round to there. Okay, we have a snap guide. Come up to meet all the other snap guides. See, technically that one's not used for anything anymore. Neither is that one. But I'll keep them around for the sake of it. Why does that have an extra one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, left that one out, that's why. So if we export this as a snap guide, and that would be, I guess ring 1, 7 segments, edge, I suppose. Okay, and then for the sake of exporting these, we pop that down there. That means rather awkwardly the anchor point for this particular mesh needs to be in the wall. So copy that, paste it in place, group it up with that. On future vessels, I will be going to great lengths to make sure that this problem doesn't happen again. And it's only an issue because we have such a tight curve on the inside bit there. So I'm going to make sure that anywhere on future vessels where we have a curve, it's going to be kind of no sharper than this one, so that we don't end up with really awkward geometry. Right, yep, and of course we need to round this off. It's true, I would be late to it. Amazing idea though. Yeah, everything rectangles. Everyone loves rectangles. Why wouldn't you want a rectangular ship? Okay, so ring 1, wall panels, 7 segments. So that's 7 segments, outer wall frame. No, window frame. And it's not C-deck either. Ring 1, F-deck, wall panel, curve, 7 segment, outer window frame. Yep. Should be correct. hello. Oh wow, AJ, thank you. Got no panels I can copy from. Copy that one. So F-deck interior walls. Copy that one around for a minute. F-deck panel. So the anchor point is in the wall where we want it to be. Well, we don't want it there, but it has to be there. Yeah, I've got to set the nanite accuracy so we don't have messed up bolts. Okay, so that's that bit done. Just set the nanite accuracy on this, so instead of like this horrible jiggly jaggedy edge, we get something slightly more resembling the base geometry, like so. Did I name this one C-deck as well? Oh, what a noob. Blame my monitor. Right, so that one would be F deck, 7 segments. Right then, so now we need the snap guide. So let's go and re-import that. No, we don't want the material. We want location of the actor. Okay, so this needs 7 sockets. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Put them roughly in the right place. And then they need specificizing, which is a word I just made up. My plan on this, I've forgotten how to speak. My plan, Anasi, is to basically build framework pieces. So when it comes to like the backer ships, for example, so we've got 12 starships we need to build, and the way I'm going to handle that is I'm going to do the placement of the physical hardware, the general internal framework structure for that vessel, and that will include all the bolt-on points, the anchor points, and all that sort of thing, which is like just the bare geometry. I will then pass that over to the other artists that are working for us, and they'll build all of the internal geometry, all of the external geometry, and do all the detail work based on that framework that I give them. So they'll know where the bolt holes need to go and that sort of thing. So I will become, I guess, like the ship architect, and then they'll become the designers. And as long as their panels have the bolt holes where I tell them to put them, it should all be good. How they go about reaching that point, I will leave very much up to them. But as long as their meshes line up with my meshes, we should be good. And yes, we won't have very many people touching the Magellan. Or Pathfinder maybe, but we'll see. As I say, once we have a framework that is easy to import into something like Blender and use as a template, then it's good for not just people that are working for us, but for modding as well at some point in the future. Right, so here's where I have to remember lots of numbers. So 1176060. Okay, that's going to be that one then. The coordinates are kind of flipped between Unreal and SketchUp. Minus 712172. Forgot that already. 712172. Okay, now this one should be kind of a mirror of that. So if that one's minus, then this one would be positive. Or not. Oh, actually no, it'd be the same, wouldn't it? Because that's the x direction. So yeah, it's a negative mirrored on the y direction. Right, and then the angle is what would be mirrored. So that would be 31.197. This is where my monitor really is messing me up. 31. Oh shit, I think it's 197. 31.197. We copy the location of that a minute. And make sure we're on the right level. So we want F, deck snap guides. Pop that in there. Okay, yes, we're going to need 3 copies of this anyway. So we want one which is 90 degrees. Then we want one which is minus 90 degrees. And then there'll be minus 1700 if I recall. Okay. And then on the F-Deck interior, that should now snap into place. It says optimistically, and it's not. Oh, I know why. It's because we haven't given this a collision. Right, no, snap. No, because we haven't given the panel collision either. Or that one. Right, now it will snap. Why is it not snapping? Ooh, is it because, yeah, the direction of the line there is facing the opposite way to what we want it. So we'll do a duplicate of that, also facing the other way, and the same on this one as well. That basically just allows us to have any bit of geometry facing any direction and it will still snap, like if we use it for the other side of the wall. There we go, now it snaps. Right, so on there, oh, and before we do that, let's sort out the label placement so that we can copy that with it. The joys of copy paste. Right, and that also applies down here as well. So 1, 2, 3. So that one. Hopefully it's going to let me grab the right one, not that. Thought that had moved it then. Sometimes if you control select something in Unreal, then it actually applies like a little bit of an offset depending on which mode you have selected. Like, because I control clicked it, it gave it a little bit of rotation, which is really, really annoying. So I always try to shift click rather than control click where possible. Right, so if that one was minus 17, minus 1700, and minus the 350, you should put it in the right place. Okay, and then these can also copy down to there. Just make sure we set the right visibility. So I'm going to do it from probably E, F, and G, because when you are like stood up here, looking down, like depending on where you're stood, you can see through the windows. Like not so much for those ones, obviously, but like these ones here. Like there are places you can stand where you can just about catch a glimpse of a panel. So we need to make sure that they're visible from those decks. I'll leave them to EFG for now, then we can tweak them back as needed. That one is G deck, and I want to do that. So we need a different panel for that side, so that goes over that side. Okay. Panel by panel, we are getting there. Yeah, it'd be interesting to know how a 2060 handles it, to be honest, because we've got things like Nanite turned on now, which we didn't do for the demo. So fingers crossed it still is within the ballpark. Right, next. This is probably the most annoying and time-consuming part of it, is setting up the snap points. But once you've got them, they really are a godsend. So that one was 1285292. Four eight eight 191. Again, we can copy these across to save us a bit of work. Is that 2708 or 2798? Hang on. Let's... No, still in the dead zone. Hang on. Yeah, you have to forgive my busted monitor. So it's 20.798. Okay. And of course we need need the opposing version of that. Oh no, that's those ones. Thought I'd missed some then. It truly is. Oh, have a good one, Jim. Yeah, so when it comes to ray tracing cards, obviously Epic's new Megallights feature requires cards that support ray tracing. It will work without ray tracing, but obviously you need ray tracing support to take advantage of all the stuff it can do, like, you know, improved frame rates and shadows on every light. I will be turning that on at some point. I need to go through the lights and make sure that we can toggle the shadows on and off depending on whether or not Megallights are enabled or not. Having Megallights enabled is going to make a huge visual difference to the game, because it means we'll actually have proper shadows from every single light source, you know, which is going to add so much depth to the image, which will be lovely. Not sure when I'll get that in. That's going to be one of those like lovely to have wish list items that we'll try and squeeze into each patch. We need to publish a list of that somewhere at some point. 1352 by 301. Uh, 248172. Pretty sure it says 399. Okay, I can guess the value of that one. And we can also guess the angle of that one as well. Just need to know how far back it is. And that is 1374884. Whoops, forgot I still had GDEC selected. I've probably put these on GDEC. Yes. Of course I did. Problem solved. Did that literally just reset all those labels? Yeah, it did, didn't it? Sigh. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 panels left. Oh, and that one. I think while we're on a roll with the window panels, I'll do that one. And that was also going to need its own snap guide, because whilst that one is a 6-segment run, sorry, a 7-segment run, this one's only 6, so it's going to be different again. Just to be annoying. No, actually, no, scrap that. If we do this door panel first, then that gets FDEC done, and I can turn that level off then. Let's do that one. So we want GDEC frame sheet. There it is. And then FDEC walls. That one even. Right, so because we already did half the work to make this panel, and all we're having to do really is just chop that bit through, and it just so happens that we have a template knocking about here somewhere. Yeah, that one. let's copy this up and out the way. Yeah, FDeck will probably be missing that stairs panel right till the last minute. So copy that down out of the way a minute. Let's just get rid of that bit. Don't need the end pieces anyway. Right. This is where I have to get my head around this now. So the white plastic bit there, and then we need to bring the rubber bit around it, which means really, and assuming these are all on the same level, no, of course they're not, right, so let's line these up with there. And the same on this side. The door frame geometry is kind of the most fluffy of all the geometry because it has to kind of turn in on itself, which is like going against the direction of the template, or the extrusion rather. So you're having to kind of bend that round so we get some weird angles. Right, so that's our frame. Just make sure that that is in fact lined up with the curve of the metalwork, which is there. So that's lined up with that. Yeah, not quite, basically. So yeah, so the edge of the plastic needs to align to that. Right, so that's wrong and that's wrong. That, so it's 1.5. Okay. so that's more like it. So that's hugging the edge of that properly. So then we need so 4 for the thickness of the plastic, and then 0.5 for the thickness of the rubber, and then we need the actual face of the door frame, which would be that. So that's the back wall, which we need to extrude by, not that much, by that much, which is that, and that. If we intersect those, come up to meet that. That should do it. Let's give it a whirl and see. Right, so on this particular one, we don't want that or that. Or that. We only want those bits. doesn't look too bad. Okay, so for this one then, we don't need that bit. That bit. Well, that went smoother than it usually does. I think doing those back faces first makes all the difference actually in making that smoother. Now for the fun bit. How well is it going to cope with a 5 centimeter chamfer across there? Could be worse. Oops. I'm going to have to merge all those vertices there, otherwise it's going to mess up. So let's go with, anything closer than 0.25. And then, what's that one? .28. Okay. Do them manually. some weirdness going on there as well. Okay, let's see if we can't fix some of that. No, didn't want to do it there either. There are certain bits of this that we don't want to smooth off, at least not yet. Right, that's more like it. Okay, what's going on there? Yeah, the door panels are, or the door controls rather, are kind of the limiting factor as to how small a door panel can be. Obviously we've only got a certain amount of real estate over on this side, so we can't have door frames that are much smaller than this. Otherwise you do hit a bit of an upper limit. do, I reckon. Yeah, you can't get through the door. You've got to climb under. Oh, autosave. You are my constant nemesis. That's why I've got no hair left. I'm looking forward to future ship designs where the paneling scenario is not quite as like needing of unique panels on every single curve of the ship. Although having unique panels everywhere does give you the option to customize those panels a little bit more visually, because what we really don't want is for every corridor to just be a copy paste of the last one. We definitely want some visual uniqueness to all of the corridors. So I'm kind of making an effort to always include something visually obvious that that sets that corridor apart from the rest. So if you see that object, you think, right, I'm here on the ship, and I know that this part of the ship is the only place that has that thing, be it like an interesting planter or a specific set of stairs. For a minute then I might have retained a copy of that template, but alas, I did not. Otherwise I could have used that as our guide here. So instead, I guess I'll just make another one. Hey Hurricane, how you doing? After a fashion, yes. I'm basically filling in all the missing pieces at the moment with the demo update on the horizon. We want to make sure that we've just, crossed all the T's, dotted all the I's, and just made sure that anywhere that's missing a panel, we just fill those gaps. these up so they are perpendicular. Not sure why that created a face there. It's weird. Lost the camera. Hey Alfie, all good, thank you. Just realised I lined that up to that edge. To be honest, I should have lined up to that edge. No matter, we can move it. Come on, snap to something. Okay, let's do it the slightly harder way. So from there to there is 6. Okay, so move that one over. by 6 units. And the same there. I might have gone 3 units too far there. Yeah. Thought as much. That looks more like it. Right, so we're moving it back 3, not 6. Okay. Nope, Claire's still about. Yeah, they will be. So, because, I mean, the main issue here, other than the camera getting stuck in anything, is this is an n-gon. So because it's an n-gon, SketchUp is trying to basically figure it out for itself. When you then smooth that face, it's drawing its own triangulation in the background that you can't see. Sadly, when you export that, it keeps that triangulation. So what you then have to do is use Unreal to sort out the normal direction. In something like Blender, you can just apply a face-weighted normals filter, but SketchUp doesn't have any such capability. Which is a shame, because that would save a few clicks in Unreal. I wonder if I can make one. I mean, SketchUp has its own Ruby scripting API, so I've made a couple of buttons in the past just to do a few like simple things like flip some faces around. I'm wondering whether a more advanced script could be written to flatten the normals or do some rudimentary face weighting. Would be interesting. Right, I seem to recall calling it something wrong last time, didn't I? No, that's the one. So that's not a window frame, that is a door frame. Yeah, I mean that would work as well. Basically anything to save me having to go into the mesh and actually do it manually. All in the quest of expediency. Right, so if I pop that there a minute. can use the same label location, thankfully, because the rest of the panel should be the same. And then we need, where are we? Looking at snap guides, that's why I can't see it. So ring 1, F-deck 7 segments outer door frame. And here we go again. No, not that one. Okay, it's put the anchor in the wrong place there. That's no good. Why has it done that? So the origin point, oh, I see, the origin point's moved. I don't know why it does that. Hang on, did I just set it to that one? That's not the one we wanted, is it? It's that one. Actually, before I re-export that, let me just... No, it is all zeroed out, so it definitely was in the wrong place. F-deck, door frame. That's better. I might have moved over there. For some reason I made the rubber stick out a bit further on this one, but it's not the end of the world. To be honest, that's more kind of physically accurate, so I shall go with this one. Same bevel size. Yep. KK. One over there. One over there. same for GDEC. Hop on there. Make sure we add GDEC to the visibility. So Claire will dutifully come around here and sort all these labels out, which is a job she is very good at. Hey Jake. And see you CSI. Have a good one. Yeah, keep reminding me because I'll forget otherwise. Right, so with that one having been added, that should be everything on FDeck done apart from that, and the interior bit here. Everything else should be done. Oh yeah, panel there. Other than that, everything else should be done. That's how it goes. I just keep finding one more thing. And then we need that one there. And then these ones. Okay. Save all that. Actually, while I remember, let's do the normals on that one. It's true, it's in the book. Where's the book? There's the book. I have a book of things I have to do. Right, let's do this one next. How are we doing for time? All right, I'll do one more and then I shall call it a night. Wrong deck. We want G deck, don't we? So want that. You guys need to be on G deck. Actually, that one can go now. We don't need that anymore. Yeah, so that's F deck, interior walls. Yeah, I'll do it over here because that one's got a floor panel in the way. Although I could just turn off that. Turn off the floor. Yeah, which side is this? No, I'll do it on this side because I'll do a row of panels across there for those ones too. Around about 112 kilograms on my last weigh-in. Shouldn't need much geometry on this. 3 faces should do it. I think that's made that up on FDeck. Yes, it has. Still no firm date, Jack. It's difficult to say like exactly when everything will be done by, for the simple reason is that, you know, we're working through the list day by day, item by item, and you know it's hard to predict what thing's going to take the longest. Like, there's a few bugs to fix still, and you know, one of those bugs might take a week to fix, and that puts all of our timescales out by a week. So we're just literally just taking it day by day. I guess the easier way of looking at it is that the new scanning and nav tutorial is done in terms of its text, apart from a couple of little lines of text at the end. It's done, all the highlights and everything are done for it, and most of the dialogue's done for it. I'm just exporting it from 11 labs and moving it into Engine. I spoke all the voice dialogue myself, if anyone was wondering, and I used an 11 labs voice changer to make me into Ava. I find that you know, as good as the AI voices are, they're not very good at inflection, or at least they're not very good at getting the right inflection that I'm after. So I find it, if I let the AI try and do the voices, then I find myself regenerating it over and over and over again until I get the right inflection that I'm looking for. Whereas if I just do it myself, then, you know, it's right first time. Yeah, we're still going to be doing recruiting. The plan is to do that once the demo update is out. Because recruitment requires focus and, you know, time, because, you know, you need to go through the actual recruitment process, do interviews, pick candidates, that sort of thing. And, you know, that's a time-consuming job, and there's a lot of applications you've got to sift through. We had that when we did the two concept artists that we took on. I mean, we had, you know, multiple hundreds of applicants for concept art, and, you know, me and Claire have to go with them. So go through them, you know, assess each one, give everyone the, you know, the time that it deserves, pick through people's portfolios. You know, it's not a quick process, recruitment. In fact, it's not quick at all. It's a very, very long, time-consuming process. And then, you know, you've got to narrow it down to finding the people that you think are the best fit for the team as well. So yeah, recruitment is long and slow, and we wanted to get the demo update done and dusted before we, you know, stepped away from development to do that. Because ultimately, you know, that's what's needed. I can't be focusing 100% on development and recruitment at the same time. I need to give each the time they deserve. In hindsight, and what we would have done differently, had I known the demo update was going to take this long, is we would have done recruitment like immediately after Kickstarter, put the demo back whilst we handled all the recruitment, and then worked on the demo update. I think, in hindsight, that would have been much quicker. But, hindsight's 2020 and all that. I never would have imagined that this demo update would have taken as long as it has. It's been a mission to get this done. Oh, very much so. Yeah, we're way behind where I wanted to be, for sure. And actually, the other problem we had with recruitment, when we did our first round of recruitment, we had a lot of fact, the bulk of the people that applied for the jobs were people not in England. And there are so many tax laws and rules and things are surrounding that you can't just go ahead and employ someone from another country. It doesn't work like that. You need employers of record in those countries or an office in those countries. You can't just employ someone, because each government in each country obviously wants their cut of the tax from the person you're paying. So yeah, you can't just employ international staff, which is really, really very frustrating. Because there are so many good people, obviously, that don't live in England. And we really wanted to be an international employer and take people on regardless of where they were, based purely on their talent. Because ultimately that's what we're after. We're after the best talent we can get, regardless of geographical location. We're a remote studio anyway, so really location doesn't matter. But taxes and laws get in the way of that. Yeah, recruitment manager. That'd be a good job. Even that is fraught with issues, Hurricane, because if you are contracting someone as if they are an employee, i.e. you're giving them set hours and set tasks to do, and say if you were employing them via a contract to do, say, 40 hours a week on contract in their country, and you're just paying them, for that contract work, then as far as the law is concerned, you are employing them as a full-time employee and essentially tax dodging. And that's the way that the law looks at it. So again, it's a bit of a minefield, and this is a problem predominantly in Europe, from what I've seen, in that because we've got a few people that we've worked with in Europe, and we really want to take them on properly full time, but we can't, because we can't employ them directly, because we don't have an office in their country, and we don't want to pay a third party to then pay them, because obviously we then have to pay the third party a percentage of their wages in order to pay them, which is not cost effective. And we can't pay them under contract for contract work, because the only way you can do that is to contract them to do a specific job and only that job. So you could say to them, I want you to build a ship, and we will pay you X amount of money to build that ship, but they have to do it on their time, with no direction from us whatsoever, because if we try and dictate the time that they are working, or when they are working, then we are considered to be an employer and in breach of the law. It's a real minefield. So yeah, the only way we can work with people outside of the UK is to literally contract them on a work by work basis, and say, right, I want, say, the character system. So the character guy that I want to work on the project is based in the US. So because he's based in the US, we cannot take him on board as a full-time employee. We just can't, because it's against the law. So what we would have to do is say to the guy, right, we have a character system that we want making, and we want you to give us a quote for how much you would charge us to make that character system, and then we would agree that price and say, right, here's the contract, we are paying you for a job, and we are paying you as a third-party contractor, therefore you're not our employee, we cannot dictate what hours you work, when you produce the item. We just basically say, we want this thing by this date and we'll pay you this much. And that's as much control as we can have over a contractor by law. But obviously, there's a lot of stuff that we can use that for, and we'll be using that for. Because a lot of the stuff that we need is doable via contract. Exactly, Ren. Yeah, exactly that situation. Like one of our old QA guys is German, lives in Germany, obviously, and we couldn't take him on permanently to do QA work or anything else we needed, because obviously he lived in Germany, we have no representation there. So I suggested to him, why doesn't he set up his own freelance QA business? So, as far as it's written on paper, he is a one-man band QA tester that hires himself out to various studios to conduct QA work, and we could pay him on contract in that way. He's then paying his own taxes in his own country, so the taxman's happy, but he would obviously then have to legitimately have his own self-employed business as a freelance QA tester. And obviously, if we were then his only customer, that would look suspicious. So he would then genuinely have to advertise his services to other studios and put himself out there. So it's really difficult to employ internationally. Oh, for sure, Hurricane. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, we could. We've worked with contractors in the past for things like concept art, and yes, absolutely. You have a hand in the process. You have, periodic reviews of what it is they're making, and obviously you want updates to know how far they're along with it. You just can't dictate when and how they work because, they are a third party. Yeah, for things like Fiverr, that's literally a one-off contract every single time. So, you advertise for something you want making, they make it, you pay them for making it. That's your relationship over and done with. You might use them all the time, and you might like someone on Fiverr that does lots of work for you. But every single thing is a one-off. I'm paying you to do this job and this job only. Yeah, see, the naive person within me thinks the whole system is absolutely stupid. And, as a business who's recruiting talent, I should be able to recruit that talent anywhere in the world. I should be able to say, right, you're amazing, I want to employ you, here's a bunch of cash. But then, having read through it, obviously it's, governments want their taxes need to be paid, and that's really the crux of it all. Have a good one, Hurricane. Hey Nathan, how many polygons in the ship? Blimey, loads. So, alright, let's take this one wall panel, just as an example. This panel has a grand total of 20,000 vertices. Let's turn off Nanite a minute, let's get a true figure. So, yeah, so it's about 10k polys. Now, obviously, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these panels, so yeah, a lot. But we use lots of little tricks around the ship to try and reduce the poly count as much as possible. Now that we have Nanite enabled, it's not so much of an issue because Nanite even stops you using some of the tricks you might otherwise use. For example, setting hard culling distances. So like this mesh here, beyond this corner, you can't see it. So I would put a hard culling distance for this distance so that it's completely removed from things like occlusion culling. So it no longer needs to query that mesh to work out the occlusion culling because we've already hidden it through putting a hard culling distance on that mesh. But Nanite doesn't allow you to put hard culling distances on things. I have no idea why, actually. It seems like a stupid thing. I mean, surely, as much as efficient as Nanite is, surely not having the mesh there at all is always better, but still. But yeah, and then we obviously have deck separation as well. Yeah, and when it comes to the texturing, I mean, we do have quite a big texture streaming pool. I think it's like 4 gig of VRAM. The game struggles on any card with less than 4 gig of VRAM. But what we do is we use tiling materials all over the place. So like all of these wall panels, even though they're all different, they're all using this same set of materials. Where's the mesh gone? There. So yeah, so the same set of materials, and the way we tend to do it is we use like a section or a selection of detail normals. So we'll have like this particular mesh, for example, has kind of got this like bobbly normal effect on it. And then we'll use that same selection of normals in different places for different things. So we're trying to reuse the same textures as much as possible in unique ways. But yeah, because every single panel here is using the same material, that's basically one version of it in RAM. That's all that's needed. It certainly can do, yeah. Depends how good your grey boxing is. Yeah, I think the problem we have with Germany is actually the German side. So obviously the German government need to extract taxes from German residents that are earning. And if we're... Now, I don't know why me just paying someone in Germany and them declaring that as tax isn't good enough, but apparently that's not good enough. I think it's also like they would expect some like corporation tax contributions as well from that. So I guess like in England, you do like national insurance contributions and such. There's probably a corporation version of that in Germany where you're not just paying an employee, you're also having to give some money to the government as well as a business as part of that employment. And it's probably that aspect of it which is making it difficult. I forgot what I was doing now. I was doing this, wasn't I? Right, so that panel. And we need to import that GDEC trim. Okay. Trim panel, and then we want a copy of that which is mirrored, and then we won't show the label on either of those. Let's get rid of FDEC a minute because it's in our way. Right, so we got tool frame to do there, and that's GDEC done. So, oh no, and those ones of course. Right, so 3 meshes for GDEC. Okay. Right, and this one here, right now it's literally just a step up, but I want to extend. Like here, extend that into a step, so it's got like a little rubber footstep on it, so just to make it easier to get players and NPCs up into the maintenance tunnels, and I'll just have that step maybe just come out straight there like that, but I'll have a play with it. Let's see. Not tonight. Okay, yeah, so that's actually mostly done. Again with FDEC, so the outer thing is all done. That's one. And there was one around here, wasn't there? Oh yeah, that one. With the trim to 3. So we've got 3 meshes to do on FDEC. I'll soften all that off so it's nicely smoothed. Yeah, then just these inside bits. So very little else to do, to be honest. just need to import the rest of the audio for the tutorial, and yeah, jobs are good as there as well. Yeah, to be honest, that's kind of how we're approaching things. Like we tend to, I mean, like with this, like all of this stuff is basically kind of like a brushed steel material. So anything that is part of the ship's framework is using that same material, and you know, we're going about it, I guess, in the same way. So we define what materials and objects are made of, and then that's reflected in the physical mesh. So we don't UV unwrap and then specifically build a material for an object. We use texture groups to define what physical material is used on an object, which works for world geometry. Obviously, if you're building something slightly more specific, like a cable reel, for example, obviously you need more specific detailed textures. But for world geometry, you can get a much higher resolution result by using tiled materials. So yeah, especially objects that are, say, this size. If you imagine UV unwrapping this and using one material or one texture to cover this entire object, you'd need like a 16K texture to texture this with any detail. So yeah, by using tiling materials, you definitely get a better result with less memory usage. The trade-off is you can't just have a picture of something there because it's a tiled material. But that's where decals come into it. So I read something many years ago, which I think was written by one of the Star Citizen devs, and they were going through their process or their pipeline of how they do tiled materials and decals rather than like fully UV unwrapping and doing custom materials per object, for the same reason that using tiled materials allows you to get a lot more visual fidelity, because you can obviously spread those materials out further, and then you just add the extra detail through decals. It's a nice workflow. It gives you nice results, and it means between these panels we always have an exact consistency with like the size of the texture, and like on the floors here. So we know that it doesn't matter what floor panel you're looking at or how big it is, the little circles are always going to be exactly the same size because it's globally tiled. Although not triplanar. So we're using a little texture trick where we can cut down on material lookups. So with a triplanar texture, you're basically referencing that material 3 times for the various axes. We don't do that. So on the materials that are not truly triplanar, you might be able to see it here. There's like a little gap there where where they don't quite line up, and that's because it's not truly triplanar. It's kind of like faux triplanar, but it means that we can only use a single texture lookup rather than 3, which means we get practically the same result as a triplanar projection, with only a single texture lookup, which is really cool. Just helps with performance and optimization. Anywho, we're practically at the 4-hour mark, so I shall call it a night there. Thank you once again, everyone, for tagging along, watching me churn out wall panels and bolts one after another. Yes, I really am sick of it now. Looking forward to getting onto the VR dev afterwards. You're welcome, Firstus, and thank you once again for sponsoring the upcoming competition. So remember, everyone, competition will be on Wednesday stream. So if you want to win a key, make sure you hop onto our Discord and pick a number. And I shall go ahead and sort out the permissions on that channel now. Right, have a good one, everyone. Have a great week ahead, and I shall see you on Wednesday stream. And yes, there will be a build. Bye for now.